Blockbuster ruled 9,000 stores, then vanished. At its peak, this empire spanned 9,000 locations with 60 million loyal members. Blockbuster commanded a staggering total revenue of $6 billion, demonstrating an unparalleled dominance in the entertainment retail space. The core of their strategy rested on a unique financial mechanism known as the managed dissatisfaction model for maximizing consumer spending. Late fees consistently accounted for 16% of the entire operational revenue stream, a subtle yet powerful source of profit. This system created a delicate balance where customer frustration was subtly monetized, ensuring continuous revenue flow for the company. The company strategically leveraged this model by acquiring Viacom, positioning itself as Wall Street's darling with an impenetrable competitive moat. The subsequent initial public offering brought Blockbuster into the spotlight, creating a facade of stability that masked underlying operational vulnerabilities. However, this perceived success masked a growing internal tension as external pressures began to erode the carefully constructed financial edifice. Then came the desperate gamble by Antioco in 2004, attempting a radical pivot to eliminate the legacy late fee structure entirely. Antioco sought to dismantle the established revenue model, believing that eliminating late fees would unlock untapped potential for future growth. This bold pivot required massive capital deployment, attempting to secure the future by betting against established industry norms and inertia. The market watched closely as this desperate attempt to reshape the landscape unfolded, setting the stage for a dramatic confrontation. The true cost of this pivot was hidden within the financial modeling, where legacy assumptions clashed violently with emerging market realities. The failure to accurately value the company based on current subscriber numbers ignored the critical trajectory of future customer acquisition costs and lifetime value. The physical retail dominance created a profound strategic blind spot, leading the incumbents to overestimate the permanence of brick and mortar in the digital age. Netflix countered this physical reality by aggressively deploying its substantial capital into developing sophisticated recommendation algorithms and content delivery systems. This strategic investment shifted the focus from physical assets to scalable digital infrastructure, fundamentally redefining the definition of entertainment delivery. The shift demonstrated that the future lay not in defending legacy structures but in embracing variable cost models and limitless content accessibility. The legend begins with a $40 late fee. Apollo 13, a VHS tape. Reed Hastings claims this sparked Netflix, but the truth is messier, far more strategic. Mark Randolph is the forgotten architect. He saw the DVD not as a disc, but as data, light enough for mail, cheap enough to ship. That was the real spark. No due dates, no late fees, flat monthly price, unlimited rentals. Randolph and Hastings built a model that inverted Blockbuster's profit engine. They sold convenience, not penalties. Year 2000, Dallas headquarters. Hastings walks into the lion's den. Blockbuster owns Friday night, 9,000 stores, 60 million members. Netflix burns cash. Hastings asks for $50 million. Hastings pitches 49% of Netflix for $50 million. Antioco leans back. He sees a niche mail service. He sees a rounding error. He does not see the future. He laughs. Antioco protects $800 million in late fees. That is 16% of revenue. He cannot kill his own cash cow. He tells Hastings the dot-com bubble has burst. He says no. The data Antioco ignored. Netflix churn, under 3%. Blockbuster store attrition, over 20%. Subscribers stayed. Stores bled customers. The moat was already draining. Silently, this is just the beginning. Subscribe to see more amazing content. Fire. Blockbuster valued Netflix on current subscribers, not trajectory. They missed customer acquisition cost dropping, lifetime value soaring. They priced a rocket ship, like a used car, a fatal modeling error. Hastings leaves Dallas. No check, no partnership, just a rental car receipt. He drives away from 9,000 stores, toward a server rack. The meeting that never happened changes everything. Netflix goes public months later. $82.5 million raised. Wall Street bets on the mailman. Hastings bets on the algorithm. Every dollar flows into the recommendation engine. Cinematch, the real product. Cinematch learns taste. Better than clerks. Better than trailers. Predicts desire. It locks in retention. It turns viewers into data. Data into dominance. The flywheel begins to spin. Antioco believed physical retail had 10 years. He was wrong. He had 3. The Dallas rejection wasn't a negotiation. It was a coronation. For Netflix, a funeral. For the empire, the trap snaps shut. Late fees funded the past. Subscription funds the future. Blockbuster chose the past. Netflix bought the future. For $50 million. The bargain of the century. Antioco saw late fees as sacred. They drove 16% of Blockbuster's revenue. Protecting $800 million annually became his obsession. Leadership clung to the runway fallacy. They believed brick-and-mortar dominance would last 10 more years. Complacency set in. Netflix's 2002 IPO raised $82.5 million. Hastings deployed it not on ads, but on building Cinematch, their recommendation algorithm. Analysts valued Netflix only on current subscribers. They ignored the explosive CAC/LTV trajectory. The model's future power was invisible to them. By protecting late fees, Antioco ignored the shifting consumer preference. His fortress became a trap. The market was already moving. While Blockbuster slept, Netflix improved its algorithm. Each personalized recommendation increased user loyalty. Switching became harder. Blockbuster's value was tied to long-term leases. Netflix had variable cloud costs. Fixed overhead became a millstone as revenue fell. Hastings sacrificed short-term profits for market dominance. He reinvested every dollar into technology and content. The flywheel began turning. The late fee cash cow, once a strength, turned into a blind spot. It prevented seeing the streaming threat until it was too late to pivot. Every rental improved Netflix's prediction accuracy. Better recommendations led to more retention. More data made the engine smarter. A virtuous cycle. Executives debated store layouts and snack sales. They failed to recognize that the fundamental unit of value had shifted from physical disc to digital access. Blockbuster offered late fees and limited selection. Netflix offered convenience, personalization, and no due dates. The contrast was stark. Blockbuster sunk capital into real estate. Netflix leveraged variable cloud spending. Flexibility became survival as market volatility hit. Icon's buybacks boosted EPS temporarily. They starved innovation. Hastings' content flywheel built enduring value. Time revealed the truth. The year 2007 brought a terrifying convergence of financial realities for the retail giant. Blockbuster faced an immense burden as they attempted to refinance their $1 billion debt. Simultaneously, the nascent streaming revolution was exploding across the digital landscape. This massive disruption directly challenged Blockbuster's established physical retail monopoly. Carl Icahn entered the fray, orchestrating a dramatic board coup to seize control of the struggling enterprise. He sought radical changes to avert total financial ruin. This maneuver aimed to dismantle the old hybrid model that relied heavily on physical locations and late fees for sustained profitability. The goal was pure operational restructuring. The new strategy, dubbed Total Access, attempted to bridge the gap between physical retail and digital delivery. It was a desperate attempt to maintain relevance in a rapidly changing market. Meanwhile, a seemingly unrelated strategy emerged from the retail sector. Keys focused on selling everyday consumer goods, attempting to adapt to the emerging streaming environment. Keys' focus shifted entirely to selling retail appliances and entertainment accessories. This strategy attempted to capture consumer attention while streaming services were rapidly gaining market share. The market was shifting away from physical presence, forcing incumbents to redefine their entire value proposition quickly. This transition demanded immediate and drastic action. The momentum of digital content began to overshadow the tangible assets held by legacy companies. Physical stores suddenly seemed like obsolete relics in the face of infinite digital choice. The massive debt load proved too heavy for the established structure to bear. The financial pressure was mounting relentlessly against the existing business framework. The ultimate consequence arrived in 2010 with the bankruptcy filing. The financial structure could no longer withstand the combined weight of debt and market disruption. The valuation of the company plummeted after the public delisting. The market reacted swiftly to the realization that the traditional retail model was fundamentally broken. Dish Network stepped in, acquiring the failing entity for a fraction of its worth. This move signaled the final end of Blockbuster's reign in the face of digital dominance. Legacy revenue models create a dangerous blind spot for established giants. High-margin legacy income often blinds incumbents to the swift arrival of disruptive low-margin models. The physical retail empire relied heavily on predictable, high-margin late fee streams. This predictable income stream created an illusion of impenetrable, long-term stability for the incumbents. Disruption arrives not through superior physical assets, but through fundamentally different operational structures. The transition from tangible assets to intangible service models demands a complete rethinking of value. Blockbuster's reliance on fixed capital expenditures contrasts sharply with the flexible operational expenditure of competitors. Netflix built its foundation on variable cloud architecture, allowing for instantaneous scaling and lower overhead costs. This flexibility allowed for rapid adaptation, whereas legacy systems were shackled by their own physical limitations. Incentive alignment becomes the crucial battleground when rewarding short-term gains against long-term strategic growth. Share buybacks focused on immediate profit often sacrifice the necessary investment in future content and innovation. Conversely, a long-term content flywheel rewards sustained investment in creative assets over fleeting financial metrics. The true wealth lesson is recognizing that liabilities are not just debts, but deeply embedded revenue dependencies. You must audit your portfolio for any revenue stream that you cannot afford to lose, regardless of its current margin. Legacy revenue traps bind capital, forcing incumbents to defend outdated structures instead of embracing true innovation. Hi there! If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. Smiling face with smiling eyes, last chance. Subscribe now before we launch our new series. Unlocked.